Welcome back, everybody. It's August 31st, 2021. As you may notice, move residences and just got the pottery set up here a couple months back. So I just kind of want to show you what the pottery looks like and what we have going forward. So right here, got the wheel set up. Was able to get the kiln moved. But as you probably notice here, something is amiss. So, in the moving of the kiln, um, because of the way that I built the kiln, having the chimney cemented basically made the kiln have to be moved all as one piece. When I went to move the kiln into the loading truck, obviously the floor was not structurally sound enough to take the stress, and it came apart. Partially, it was also because if you notice right here, this band right here, during the test firing of the kiln in last November, that band actually broke loose on me. I don't know if you can see right here. So this is part of the hose clamp that actually tensions around, just like this on the top lid here. It actually tensions and holds the bricks together and gives it some strength. Well, what has happened here is that this little piece, this little tab right here, came apart, fell apart, and fell off during the firing. So when moving the kiln, I did try to use some ratchet straps to kind of tension the bricks, but it wasn't enough, obviously. So I guess the option that I'm gonna try here is that I still have some of this refractory cement that I have from when I built the chimney inside the kiln and repaired it. I may even have to order some more because I don't know if that's going to be enough, but I'm going to try to mix up a very wet slurry mix and re-cement all those bricks, refractory bricks, back together. Over there with the metal band, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and drill a hole through that little metal tab and use rivets to actually reconnect the metal strapping together, and then I should be able to use the clamps once again to tension the bricks. So as you can see here too, I have some of my work. I got some plastic shelves here. I have some of the work. I really haven't thrown much over the winter. I think the last thing that I had made before the move really was like this this casserole dish here. As you can see, it's just a casserole dish with some lug handles kind of on the sides here. I think I did throw, I don't know if y'all saw me throw this vase, and also a different style coffee mug over the winter. Let's see if I can find it here. Yeah, I did another banding wheel, and it was just basically like the other ones that I've made, and the pattern was made just usually taking a toothpick and pressing it in, and really very random patterns. I really do not try to do anything too symmetrical. I made one like this, which I don't know if I've even really tried to use it, but I tried using it or making it a little different one where I could just kind of have some indentations for my finger to kind of roll it along instead of the nubs. And I have this one right here, which I had a little bit of an issue with. I think I just used kind of the back end of my hacksaw blade to kind of make the pattern in there. But as you can see that when I went to go fire it, the actual one of the lugs blew off. So still may be able to use it. Not too sure what I'll use it for, but those are just some of the impressing wheels that I made over the winter. Yeah, most of these other pots and stuff like that are things that you saw from last winter's firing. I just did some different bowls and stuff like that. But yeah, I really like the pattern. Again, as you can see, that came out on these olive oil lamps, and I definitely intend to make some more olive oil lamps. I enjoyed that quite a bit. So that's basically what we have right now. We will bring you back in as I'm going through the process. The first thing I'm going to do, basically all the different pieces, when they just kind of fell apart, I kind of tried to separate to see where the main fractures were, because I really, well, I don't really want to cement more than I have to. You know, some of it was just going to fall apart anyway. So now I've got to go through here and vacuum out all the little chunks that I won't be able to repair, and then we'll start getting some cement mixed up and trying to glue some of these pieces back together, and we'll also fix the band. So, all right, we'll bring you back in a little while. Okay, so I'll just bring you back in on what I'm doing right now. So as I was telling you before, that metal band that goes around the base of the kiln had fallen apart during the last heat. So what I'm doing now is the strapping that's down here, I'm actually taking and I'm drilling through it. It looks like they were just kind of almost like tack welded, these clamps to the sheeting. So what I'm actually doing is I'm drilling through the straps and the actual clamps, and I'm actually using where are they at? I'm actually using these pop rivets right here to actually fasten it back together. Again, it'll definitely be stronger than what they did. So as you can see right here, I've already got a few of them done, and I just drilled 1/8 inch holes, and so then basically I can fit this through the back. This is the rivet, so I can push that through. I don't know how good the light is here, but you can push the rivet through the hole there, and then I have my rivet gun, and that basically just gets inserted from the back, and then you basically just squeeze the handle several times, and it basically draws the post down and through the center of the rivet, and it will fasten the rivet. It usually takes about 2 or 3 really good squeezes to break off that shaft, and then that's pretty much it. And then the little shaft falls out in your hand. Make sure you get all those up. You don't want them in your car tires. So we'll sweep that up when we're done. But anyway, so I've done 3 out of the 4 clamps. Let me just do this last one. So again, this is another one where you can see the clamp is actually separated there. I'd already drilled some holes, but I'm actually going to drill a couple of different holes. So I got a little block of wood here that I can drill down into. So basically there's more surface area of the metal straps than there are on the clamps. So I'm actually going to drill. I think I can get more accurate holes here if I actually drill through the clamp first. So I'm going to hold that down and just... That's one. Let's do one more. Okay, it's 2. Hopefully it didn't shift on me too much. Okay. 2 holes drilled there. Ooh. Unfortunately, I kind of had gone to a previous hole a little bit, but that's all right. I think I'll be all right. Oh, I did shift around a little bit. Let's get both of these rivets in first before I actually start fastening them down. That might allow me to get them both in, just in case they weren't done perfectly in line with each other. The more you work on machinery and things like that that are made out of metal that don't have a lot of give to them, the more you realize the importance of when you're tightening bolts down and things like that. You're trying to get things to line up, not tightening everything down until you get everything in their proper holes. Definitely helps. I'm gonna have to waller that out a little bit. It seems to be a little tight. I'm trying to get both these rivets through. There we go. Both rivets are in now. Sorry, I know it's probably not the best angle, but I'll show you from the top here. That basically, you got your rivets now going through, And again, I'll put the gun on here, and it basically draws this bar and pulls the nub of the shaft down, and it expands this tube so it can't go back through the hole. And then eventually you apply enough force that these little shafts actually sever off. So that's what we're doing. So we'll go ahead and get the rivet gun on there. Start tightening these down. There we go, that's one. Drop that one out. And there we go. So now we have all 4 clamps securely fastened. One of the things that I realize I'm going to have to do, because these rivets stick out a little bit, and the tab for the clamp actually has to go this way, and we'll run into them, is that I need to kind of bend the clamps up a little bit so that as I draw them in, they'll actually clear the top of the rivets. So I do that one. Let's bend this one a little bit too. There we go. There, now those should clear. So then as I, my arm's in the way, isn't it? Let's try it from this side. So I've bent each of these 2 tabs up so they'll clear the top of the rivets. And then again, as I screw in like this, it actually pulls on the clamps, and that actually draws the band in and will give us our clamp that'll go around the entire base. So that's it. This has now been repaired. It should work just fine. It should be very strong. And now the next thing to do will be, again, to work at the reassembling now of all of these pieces of insulating brick. So I've already vacuumed some of the pieces out. What I noticed that I'm trying to do as well is I'm actually going along with my hands and kind of lightly rubbing all the edges. And the reason why, not that I really want more of it to crumble off, but some of it is on there so loosely that it's going to probably fall off as I handle the bricks anyway, cementing all this back together. So it's just better to have it knock off now, and I can fill that with the refractory cement. So anyway, we'll bring you back in when we're in the process of putting these back together. Okay, so what I've done is I've just gone ahead and cleaned up as much as I could from in between the pieces. So I have kind of a clean area to work in now. I've gone ahead and vacuumed up all the little crumbs from the broken brick. There's still a couple of pieces like this one and that one there that have some cracks in them that I'm debating whether to take them apart. The rest of them, I don't see any other main fractures that I'm gonna need to separate, but I still may need to take these few pieces apart. But I'm gonna go ahead and give it a shot to see if I can possibly start cementing the pieces together. I'm a little bit hesitant too because again, it's like a jigsaw puzzle with a lot of irregular shapes, and if you get something off, you could get very easily to a point where something doesn't fit. And again, with your pieces being held together by cement, I have a feeling I have to kind of get this done in a fairly quick amount of time once I have all of the mortar mixed up. One of the things I'm going to do also here was a tip that I saw from another potter working on his kiln on YouTube, was that because this brick is quite dry, it's going to tend to suck any moisture out of the cement that I put on it right away and dry it out really quick, which doesn't give you a lot of time to work with it. So a tip was, again, to take a bottle of water and really just spray down your brick to make sure your bricks are actually pretty soaked and they've actually retained a lot of water. Therefore, they will not quickly set your concrete, give you a little bit more time to work with. Also, it's going to keep the dust down, which is always good when you're working around refractory dust and things like that. Again, just a note of safety. Again, always wear your respirator when handling your bricks. Removing, a lot of refractory stuff brick around, so as to keep it from being breathed in. That's always a good safety tip, which I have been using as I've been vacuuming and all of that. But again, now that I'm wetting it down too, it's going to be much less likely to want to get up in the air. Anyway, so I'm gonna maybe bring you in a little bit later as I'm actually having most of the pieces together, maybe as I'm assembling the last little bit, but I am probably going to have to work pretty fast again to keep this from setting up too much on me. All right, we'll bring you back. All right, so it didn't exactly go to plan with how I was planning on cementing everything back together. Basically, I tried to just basically start cementing each side of the piece. They were so irregular. It was very hard for me to even get this mixture even on the pieces in time before it would start to set up and try to stick it to the next piece, and it just wasn't working out. So in the end, what I've kind of elected to do is just dry fit everything together and put the straps back on and get the pieces to lock together. And then basically try to go to some of these deep crevices and start filling them in with the mortar. And then I'll try to get a good clean scrape over all this. I can't really talk to you too long because I've got to work with this before it sets up. But yeah, basically I did put the straps on it. It does feel like they're gripping together. The pieces are gripping together. Fortunately, I was able to get all the pieces to lock back together. But now I'm just filling in all the gaps with the mortar, and I'm going to try to do a nice clean screed coat, a flat coat over everything. So I'll bring you back in hopefully when it's all done. Okay, so I'm at a spot where I at least can show you what I've been doing. So I've got all the pieces back together, and I've got all the major cracks filled. I'm not sure if I have enough to mix maybe a real thin coat and just do a whole coat of the whole base to try to make a nice level coating or not. Again, it is really hard to work with. I don't really have a wide putty knife. I just got that little one over there with the yellow handle, and it's only like maybe an inch wide, which isn't really conducive to spreading an even coat over a large surface. I may just try to mix a real thin coat and maybe just even use my paint stick as kind of a blade and just kind of try to do a nice smooth skim coat over the whole thing. But I did really try to pay attention to getting as much as I could off of these edges because these edges are what the walls of the kiln are going to sit on top of. So you really do want you don't want a lot of waves in your work, because it's going to then leave gaps which the heat's going to escape out of. So I'm going to obviously have to let this set up a bit, and I'll dust it off a little bit more and try to smooth it out as best I can. Even maybe just running my hand over it seems to get kind of a nice smoothing effect. And again, this is still pretty wet, so I'm not too worried about the dust coming off of it at this point. But yeah, that's basically where we're at right now. And it is all back together, and I said once that hardens, it should stabilize the bricks that are there. Then I'll flip it over and fill in any cracks from the other side, so that hopefully I'll have a good sound base once again. So that's where we're at, and it looks like, I'll show you, it looks like the clamps are holding pretty well. All the little rivets are holding it together. And that's why I did them from the inside, because these nubs stick out pretty far. And the other side's much more flush, so I wanted that on the inside to go up against the bricks. But it seems like it's pretty solid. Like I said, we'll let this dry, and I don't know. I may try to do one more little skim coat over the whole thing. Kind of up in the air about it. I don't really know that it's necessary, other than just to make it look nice. It eventually, once it's all on there anyway, it's going to get coats of kiln wash and stuff like that, which will smooth things out a little bit too. So maybe I won't even really worry about it so much. But like I said, once I get everything stacked on top of it, and then again, the long-term goal for this kiln, because it is, you know, I'm going to have this chimney on the inside of the kiln. I really don't want to build it to where it can go together and install together in sections. And the reason why is because I don't really like to use K-wool and things like that. I feel like it's stuff that deteriorates really easily and gets knocked up into the air. So I'm trying to stay away from using that to like have to insulate in between the sections of the chimney. So I prefer to have the chimney all in one piece on the inside, which again does make the kiln more cumbersome. Even though it has 3 sections, it'll basically have to be moved all in one. So what I'm planning on doing to try to make it a little bit easier to get the kiln around, here's the base for the kiln. This metal base right here is what the kiln sits on. It has a little metal plate that it sits up on. I may actually make a little bit bigger of a plate to get a little bit more support on the bottom of the kiln, so that way the bricks aren't hanging over the edge. Again, they are probably in a much weaker state now that they've all been knocked apart, and I'm just kind of patching them back together. So I think maybe a bigger base plate to give it more support. And then what I would like to do is I'd like to take these metal legs and put casters on them, wheels, so that I can then just roll the kiln around wherever I want to. Even if I have to load it up somewhere, it's just a matter of just rolling it up a ramp as opposed to picking it up and carrying it. So that's also part of my plan before the kiln goes back into operation, is to get this thing all mounted up on casters. I'll be able to roll it out here onto the driveway and do my firings, and then roll it back when I'm done. So again, that's pretty much, I guess I'll wrap this video up. It's pretty much the reconstruction of the kiln. Like I said, I'm just going to flip that over and work on the other side, but I think we're good to go. I think I'm going to be able to continue to use that kiln as it is. So thanks for joining me, and until I see you next time, don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. Talk to you.